Here we are again. We are going to do the last chapter of the. Sorry, we're going to do the last part of the end of the World War II in the Pacific. As usual, make sure you have your notes and that you are ready to go and you have enough sleep. Okay? And we are here. Okay, remember, as usual, do your notes, take down your questions, and bring them to class so that you can ask them. Okay? So here we are going to finish this up. Today, this lesson, we are going to look at the atomic bomb, okay? Why use it? Okay, from multiple perspectives, and also what is the effect of the atomic bomb, and is it justified? Okay, is it right to use the atomic bomb? Okay, so this is quite an important topic. Please make sure you know it well, okay? So that's basically what we're going to look at today. And so, looking back from where we left off, we know that what the Allies wanted to do. The Allies wanted to end the war quickly. Right, Allied intention, right? End the war quickly and force an unconditional surrender. Okay, at this point, you should be asking yourselves, do I know why the Allies wanted to end the war quickly? Do I know why the Allies wanted to force an unconditional surrender? If you do not, you should really go back to the third part of this chapter and go and revise it. Okay, so why did they want to use the atomic bomb? Japan didn't want to surrender, and there's only one way to force an enemy to surrender. An enemy who is resistant and stubborn, you just need to hammer him into the ground. Okay, so the atomic bomb, as we know, is a weapon of mass destruction. Okay, it had never been used before, and it was going to force Japan to surrender. Also, the thinking was, if I use the bomb, okay, yes, I will kill many civilians, but the number of civilians is going to be less. Sorry, may fail. Less than the number of troops killed. Okay, Allied troops, okay, whose lives would be spent in the land invasion of Japan. Okay, and that is why militarily the atomic bomb was a viable option. Okay, the estimated number of Allied troops killed would be something in the range of 1 million if they had to invade Japan, literally city by city, like how they took Germany. Okay, as compared to the projections of the numbers if they just dropped the atomic bomb. Later, we will have a look at the numbers of Japanese civilians killed by the atomic bomb. Okay, so this is the military reasons why the atomic bomb was used. However, there is another aspect to look at. Okay, here on this slide, what we are looking at is political motivation. Specifically, American political motivation. Here we are starting to look at how the Cold War is going to start forming. Okay, now we know that the USA and the USSR, they're not the best of friends. We know that even before World War II, they are on opposite ends of the ideological spectrum. The USSR is communist and the USA is democratic, and they do not get along. Okay, and during World War II, they are simply allies of convenience. Okay, and so think with me, it is the middle of 1945, whether you are Soviet or whether you are American, you know that you are going to win the war. And then what will happen? There are only two superpowers left. Naturally, they are going to be competing for influence. Okay, and this is what we call the superpower conflict. Okay, this is part of the democratic tensions. Okay, and so at the Yalta and Potsdam conferences, okay, please go and have a look at them. what essentially happens is that the superpowers, sorry, not yet the superpowers, the USA, USSR, and the UK, they meet and they are deciding what post-war Europe will look like. Sorry, the post-World War II world, to decide the shape of the post-World War II world. And as you can imagine, the USA and USSR are going to want to have a situation which is as favorable as possible to their own interests. Okay? And at the same time, if you are the USA or the USSR, you are going to be thinking, man, the other guy is a threat. Okay? What can I do? Okay? How can I establish an advantage over the other guy? Okay? And that is why the USA wanted to use the atomic bomb. It is military leverage. In other terms, it is a flex. Okay, if the USA is going to use the atomic bomb, it is basically saying to the USSR, "Hey, I have this. You know, I just used it on Japan, but guess what? If I really wanted to, I could use it on you as well." And so it is an implied threat to the USSR, okay? And this gives them leverage, it gives them a bargaining chip. So, to summarize what is going on this slide, we see that the Americans had their own agenda to further American political interests, okay? So, it is worth thinking, okay, is this a good reason for using the atomic bomb? Okay, maybe from the American perspective, yes, but from, shall we say, a more general perspective, you got to think about it, okay? And so this culminates means it ends up with the Americans dropping the atomic bomb on the 6th of August 1945. You can see the ridiculous amounts of damage done just in Hiroshima. There are nearly 140,000 people who die. Okay, and even now, radiation poisoning still exists there. Okay, so this bomb was meant to force the the Japanese to surrender. However, the Japanese did not surrender yet, and on the 9th of August, another bomb was dropped. Another 65,000 people were killed. Okay, we are not even talking about people who didn't die straight away, people who were turned infertile, people who have to suffer radiation burns for the rest of their life or mutations. Okay, there's a whole host of problems that emerge from the use of nuclear weapons. Okay, and not just this. In class we will go through again, but you can see there is a cultural weight. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce this, but basically they are explosion affected people. They are victims of the atomic bomb, and the way that they live their lives is totally different. Okay, imagine if you have some radiation burns forever wherever you go. You are a physical reminder of the atrocity that had been committed. Okay, and so well, the atomic bombs did do their work. They forced the surrender. And the emperor says we need to endure the unendurable, suffer what is unsufferable. The reason why they say this is because remember long ago we were talking about the Japanese warrior mindset, Bushido, right? The warrior code that doesn't allow them to take dishonorable action. And so surrendering is something that's really unspeakable to the Japanese people. But eventually World War II comes to a close. The Japanese signed a surrender document on board a US warship off the coast of Japan. Okay. So the next question we need to ask ourselves is this justifiable? Okay. Someone no less than Einstein, okay, whose research was a preliminary step necessary to the use of the atomic bomb. Okay, he says that when the war is over, there will be in all countries a pursuit of secret war preparations with technological means which inevitably lead to more destruction, okay, even more terrible, okay. And you will see, we know that this will rear a nuclear war will rear its ugly head in the Cuban Missile Crisis. Basically, what happens when you use the atomic bomb? Everybody realizes that, oh my goodness, it is so dangerous, so powerful. Everybody's going to want to develop their own one, which is what exactly happens with the USSR later. Okay, so is it right to invent such a weapon? Okay. And that Einstein himself, okay, he says that, this is one great mistake that he made. Okay, and so this is something that we need to think about. Was the use of the atomic bomb justifiable? From the Americans' perspective, they have a political perspective, they have a political agenda, but it's their own political agenda. Can you really use this to justify the use of atomic bomb? Okay, the Japanese perspective, how about that? The damage suffered. Okay, the long-term damage suffered. Okay, but at the same time, for the Allies, there's a military justification. Right, I want to save more lives. Okay, I guess we also need to think about a moral perspective. Is it right? Is targeting civilians versus military targets? Is it right to hit Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Okay, is it humane to use a weapon of mass destruction? Okay, so these are all the arguments we need to think about. I would urge you all not to just say, oh no, yes, it's justifiable, or no, it's not justifiable, but to consider both and develop a nuanced perspective. We can acknowledge both sides, but eventually you need to come to something slightly more complex. Okay, because this is essentially the use of controlled violence, which is really something you need to think about. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the chapter and the end of the secondary 3 curriculum. This chapter is particularly important because it's going to affect the next thing that we do, which is the start of the Cold War. Okay, so when we do the Cold War and we start looking at the superpower interaction, definitely atomic weapons are going to come into play. Okay, so that's all. We will stop here. I guess enjoy your revision. See you.